Welcome, family. This is your man, Brother Ron, R2C2HU, the archivist, live and in charge at the scene of the church mausoleum in beautiful Elmwood Cemetery, Memphis, Tennessee. I'm in front of the church mausoleum. This is where the late, great Robert Church Sr. is buried. He is the savior of Memphis and also considered to be the first black millionaire of the South. He owned a lot of real estate in Memphis. He actually owned a saloon, I believe on Beale Street, when the Memphis Race Massacre happened of 1866. The Memphis Race Massacre, which was started by white police, white cops. Normally, when we have riots and massacres in this country, they're normally started by some disorder, something incident involving law enforcement. Look at all the major riots and massacres, especially associated with race, with black people. Normally are started by law enforcement doing some questionable behavior towards black people. And Robert Church was a victim. He actually was in his saloon when the Memphis Race Massacre happened in 1866. White folks lost their mind. They burned down black Memphis. They destroyed and burned down churches and schools and other black businesses. They was raping, looting, and pillaging black people. They were just murdering and raping black people. All types of genocide, and so black holocaust. And really that incident in 1866 led to what is now known as the Reconstruction era. That one incident led to the Reconstruction era, because you had the radical Republicans. They were appalled, because people don't know, the Republican Party was started by black people like Frederick Douglass, and they were abolitionists. They believed in the 40 acres and the mule. That was the Republicans, the party of Lincoln, that started that. There was no Democrats or Dixiecrats. Matter of fact, in this cemetery used to be buried one and only Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was a prominent slave trader, a war criminal suspect. He led the massacre at Fort Pillow, killing 300 black Union soldiers, women, and children. He also was the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, but his followers, his admirers, removed his remains from this cemetery and placed them on Union Avenue, and they placed a statue, an equestrian statue of his likeness on a horseback on that grave with his wife back in the early 1900s. I want to say 1905. Was recently moved. They removed the statue. The remains are still there on Union Avenue. And you know, it's interesting. They removed that statue, these black folks with political will, Black Lives Matter, whatever that is. They removed the statue. They even renamed some streets that were named after Forrest. They added an extra, they just took out the extra R and named it Forrest instead of Forest. They named Forest, like trees and stuff. But right across the river, right across the lazy river, there's a city known as Forest City, Arkansas, that he founded himself. Now, Forest City, Arkansas has a majority black population. That is the birthplace of R&B soul greats, music royalty Al Green, the Right Reverend Al Green. And also that's where they kept T.I. in federal prison over there. And also, Nathan Bedford Forrest was a proud Democrat. He was a delegate of the 1868 convention. Also, he was a Klansman, the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. The Klan was founded by the Democrats. The founder of the Klan was a guy named Albert Pike, like a Paul Bunyan Santa Claus hybrid from Boston, but he was a Confederate general over Cherokee Indians. Remember Joe Biden talking about if black folks gonna get reparations, Native Americans gonna get it too? Well, you had the civilized tribes that own black people, including the Cherokee, who fought for the Confederacy to keep their black slaves. You understand what I'm saying? You see where I'm going with this? So yeah, Albert Pike was a Democrat. He used to live in Memphis back in the day, but he was a founder of the Klan. Nathan Bedford Forrest was the first Grand Wizard of the Klan. And right across from his burial spot on Union Avenue is a Scottish Rite Freemason building. Albert Pike, the founder of the Klan. Scottish Rite, 33rd degree Freemason. Give y'all a quick history lesson, but he was buried in this cemetery, Elmwood, back in the 1870s, Nathan Bedford Forrest, but they removed his body. So I'm in front of the church mausoleum. Like I said, Robert Church Sr., his remains out here. But during the Memphis Race Massacre of 1866, he was in his saloon, and white folks came and shot him in the head. They shot this man point blank range, and he survived and testified before Congress. He gave a congressional testimony about what happened during that time. But what's interesting about Robert Church, how he made his fortune, it was the real estate, but also You know, it's hard out here for a pimp. He had real estate. He had brothels, white women. You know, he was a pimp. The people don't want to talk about that, but you know, he was pimping the white women with the real estate, making that money. Now you remember in the movie The Founder with Ray Kroc, who didn't really found McDonald's, with the McDonald brothers that founded McDonald's, but he made it the icon it is today. He was told the most valuable thing is not the burgers. You in the business of real estate, owning stuff, land ownership. Like I talked about 40 acres and a mule. One of the reasons why these crackers came over here in the first place, land ownership. To control their land. They talk about freedom of religion. No, the freedom to own what they want to own and do what they want to do. Own the land. So Robert Church had a lot of land. And, you know, we got this mask. You know, it's coronavirus, COVID-19, whatever it is. Whether you believe it's a fluke or not, they had a thing called yellow fever back in the day in the 1870s. You know, it wiped out so many people in Memphis that Memphis lost its city charter. Memphis lost its city charter. It was Robert Charles that brought the first city bond to bring the city back. He saved Memphis. So people don't understand, black folks saved Memphis. Black folks always saving people, but we can't save ourselves, right? And he was originally from Holly Springs, Mississippi. His daddy was a white man. His mom was a black woman. So he kind of like a Barack Obama, but he actually did things for black people. Like, you know, for example, when black folks wanted to start businesses or own homes, they got a loan from Brother Robert Church. He helped home ownership grow. He helped black businesses grow in the city. He started a black bank in the city. The Solvents Bank, right? So look all this stuff up. Take a look. It's now online. Everything I just said, you can find online, right? Just about. Robert Church had a daughter named Mary Church Terrell. Mary Church Terrell was a brilliant black woman. She was a contemporary of IdaBWells's. Very educated. One of the first black women in the country to get a college degree. I think she probably was the third black woman to get a college degree in the whole country, I believe. But she's well educated, can speak several different languages fluently. Married a brother from Washington, D.C., Harvard educated brother named Robert Church. Not Robert Church, but Robert Terrell, excuse me. Robert Terrell. I believe he was like the first black judge in D.C. Y'all can look all this stuff up, y'all. I'm not making it up. But when Woodrow Wilson, the Democrat, who resegregated the D.C. government and the city, she led a one-woman, multiple decades protest to reintegrate D.C. And she was successful towards the end of her life. She ended up dying in the 50s. She was a guest of honor at the Eisenhower White House back in the 50s. But she died, I don't believe she was almost 90 years old when she died, or in her 90s or late 80s or early 90s when she died in the 50s. That's Mary Church Terrell. Take a look of her online. Take a look. It's all online. Robert Church saved the city. The people almost killed him. They almost lynched him. But he came back and saved the city of Memphis, got his charter back, and he died in 1912. He was, I believe, a Republican. His son, Robert Church Jr., was a proud black Republican. Because people forget that black folks were Republican because the party of Lincoln. Lincoln freed the slaves, and Frederick Douglass was one of the founders of the Republican Party. They were proud Republicans. It represented the interests of black folks more than anybody else, any other group. And you compare that with the Democrats or Dixiecrats, or I said Democrats or Demogated Party, as Judge Joe Brown would say. Their first president was Andrew Jackson, a person who was a notorious slave owner and possibly war criminal, a psychopath. So the only thing I can say about Andrew Jackson I really liked was the fact he took on the central banking interest. He stopped the Rothschilds for a little bit. It led to a depression or a recession or whatever you want to call it. But he took on the central banking, won the battle, but we still lost the war. And, you know, the war goes on. The beat goes on. But what people don't understand, Robert Charles, not Robert, I said Robert. I'm thinking about all this stuff. The ancestors won't let me rest, man. They all in my head telling me, tell my story, man. But I'm talking about Robert Church Sr. He was also the benefactor of IdaBWellsBarnett when she was a young sister, beautiful sister. I call her Ida B. Fine. When she was up in Memphis, he was a benefactor. He would loan her money when she needed it, you know. And they both were from Holly Springs, Mississippi. Ida B. Wells, she lost a majority of her family, or she lost her mom, her parents, and some of her siblings to the yellow fever epidemic. But at the age of 16, she raised her remaining siblings on her own. Her remaining siblings was raised by her. I said siblings, right? I said siblings on siblings. Were raised by her at the age of 16. So I want to say this. I'm talking about Robert Church and Ida B. Wells. You know, it's interesting. A lot of the lynching victims were black business owners. They were not raping white women as claimed. A lot of these so-called raping allegations, the relationship between the white woman and the black man were consensual. And Ida B. Wells exposed that in exposés in her newspaper, which cost her to get run out the South. They destroyed her printing press and ran her out of Memphis and the South. And luckily she was on the East Coast, I believe, when that happened, because they probably would have lynched Ida B. Wells, even though she was a woman. Because Ida B. Wells was a short sister. She's maybe 5'1", but she walked around with pistols. She would walk around with pistols at all times. Because she said, "You're going to take me out, I'm going to take some of y'all with me. I'm going to take some of these devils back to hell. You're going to take me out, I'm taking some with me." And like she said, to paraphrase her, the Winchester rifle should have a place of honor in every home, in every black home. She said the Winchester rifle should have a place of honor in every black home. So I'm tired of people saying, "I'm not my grandparents, I'm not my ancestors." You ain't reading the right stories, because the ancestors, or righteous ancestors, they fought back. A lot of our people fought back, man. Y'all reading the wrong stories because y'all let Hollywood tell y'all who the righteous ancestors were, instead of listening to your third eye, your mind's eye, instead of meditating, instead of going to places like this. Y'all think it's scary to go. I go here to eat lunch a lot of times. I go to cemeteries to eat my lunch and to conversate. Because one thing about the ancestors in cemeteries, they practice social distancing. They practice social distancing and keep 6 feet away from you. They don't talk over you. They don't care about your bed table manners. They don't ask you for any food. They don't try to munch on your plate. They dead. But it's not that they're dead. The energy is still here around us. Just got to access them. But they talk to me all the time. So this is why I take my platform, try to share these stories, give y'all some breadcrumbs to follow, and do your own research and think for yourself. Think for yourself. But Ida B. Wells lost friends here. Look up the People's Grocery lynching of 1892. The People's Grocery lynching of 1892. Ida B. Wells' good friends, in particular her best friend, she was the goddaughter to his daughter, Thomas Moss. Thomas Moss was a black leader in the community. He was a mailman. To be a postal worker back then was a place of honor in the black community. That was a prestigious job. So he was a postal carrier, but also he was an entrepreneur. He started the People's Grocery with 2 of his colleagues. All these were black men, young black men, trying to strive and thrive in the world and give back. But they were a very popular store because the People's Grocery Store was not only for black people, but everybody came to the People's Grocery Store to do business. Now, the People's Grocery Store was located in what is now known as South Memphis, over there by Stacks and Lamar Owen College, you know. So they had a white grocery business owner across the street that was in competition, but he was losing the competition to the People's Grocery. And so he had a white posse, a lynch mob, a vigilante mob, come down on the People's Grocery. And the brothers fought back. They believed in being armed, and they believed in self-defense. So stop saying you ain't your ancestors when they fought back. So the brothers shot into the crowd, not realizing they were plainclothes cops in the crowd too. So once they figured out that they wanted some plainclothes cops, they peacefully surrendered, even though they was in their right to defend their property. And so what they did, the white folks were allowed to come into the county jail, kidnap these brothers, brought them to an open field, uptown, what is now North Memphis, and brutally lynched these brothers. Just mutilated these brothers. And Thomas Moss was the last person they killed. Thomas Moss had a baby on the way, had a son on the way. He begged for the lynchers not to kill him. And I'm gonna tell you what's crazy. Y'all talking about the media and fake news. The media, the press was there to cover everything. This was extrajudicial justice, or just us, lynch mob. And they had the press, the so-called mainstream press, legitimate so-called press, what Donald Trump calls fake news. They covered the whole thing. They were eyewitness to it. So they asked him, "Nigga, you have any last words?" He said, "Yes. Tell my people to go west because they cannot get any justice here." And then they finished him off. They blew him away, mutilated his body just like his friends. So Ida B. Wells was totally depressed, totally outraged, depressed, angry about what happened to Thomas Moss. And then it was when she realized what the lynching thing was about. At first, Ida B. Wells thought, like a lot of us, with this respectability politics, saying, "Oh, them guys must have deserved it. They must have been criminals. That's why they got lynched. They would not lynch nobody that didn't deserve it. But when her best friend, who was a stand-up guy, a leader in the black community, was lynched, then she changed her tune. She sung a different song. She said they're lynching us to keep us in our places, to keep us from running for office, from having successful businesses, from building generational wealth. You can read Ida B. Wells in her own words online. There's PDF files available of her actual booklets and stuff she put out, like the Red Record and things like that, mob rule and all that stuff, lynch law and all its phases. You go to the website called the Gutenberg Project, I believe, and they got all of her stuff, all her intellectual property, with the exception of the autobiography that you all should read, is out there. And also a book I would recommend y'all reading as well is her Memphis Diary, Ida B. Wells' Memphis Diary, that was actually edited by one of my friends, the beautiful Dr. Marion DeCostas Willis, a brilliant historian, storyteller, and a foxy lady. But read those things, right? And read her autobiography. So, Ida B. Wells printed his last words in her newspapers. He said, told black people to go west. He said, we cannot get justice here. Approximately 6,000 black folks left Memphis, and some of them ended up in, do you know where? Tulsa, Oklahoma, Greenwood, Black Wall Street. So a lot of the black business people, progressive black folks who left Memphis and went to places like Black Wall Street. And we all know what happened, or should know what happened in Black Wall Street back in the last weekend, of May 1921. You dropped a bomb on me, baby. That's right. You know the Gap Band is from Greenwood, Black Wall Street. Charlie Wilson people, Charlie, they're from there. Last name Wilson, they're from there. And that song, You Dropped a Bomb on Me, is talking about actually Black Wall Street, or Tulsa, Oklahoma, being the first American city to have airplanes bomb it, because you had a successful black community known as Black Wall Street, a very prosperous community, and it was basically blown off the map because of their wealth. Said white folks looting, pillaging, raping, and burning down 40 blocks of Black Wall Street. And just now recently discovered a mass burial grave of some of the victims of the Black Wall Street Massacre, Little Africa. And Donald Trump is speaking there on Juneteenth. He's scheduled to speak there on Juneteenth of 2020, which is June 19th, 2020. And a lot of people are raising objections to that. But I'm telling you, I don't know, maybe he might talk about reparations. This is a weird year right now for the whole world, especially for black people. Maybe he might be making an announcement about doing something right by black folks. So I wouldn't, count that out, and you should be open-minded at all times, because the Democrats, like I told y'all, they founded the Klan. They're not your friend. Now, Donald Trump dad was also in the Klan. The reason why we know this, because you go to a June 1927 New York Times article that talks about the Klan getting into a fight with the police up in New York City. And they said that one guy that was arrested was one Fred Trump from Queens. Donald Trump's dad's name is Fred Trump, and Donald Trump, like his dad, is from Queens. Now, Donald Trump has denied this. I'm going to tell him Bobby Dick Gregory about this before he died. He didn't know. I told about, hey, they said that Fred Trump's daddy was arrested. He was a Klansman. And here's the New York Times article from 1927, June 1927. Take a look. It's all online. Everything I'm telling y'all can find online, because I know people love to second guess a brother. Now, I know I'm not perfect. Sometimes I get dates off and all that names, and when my heart's in the right place, I ain't no so-called disinfo agent. I may have just forgot, made a mistake. I'm a human being. So I'm training folks to think for themselves. Like somebody said on one of my recent posts about I'm contradicting myself about don't follow these weaponized celebrities. I'm not contradicting. To be contradictory is to be human. A hypocrite is a person that denies contradictions. Humanity exists in contradictions. My job as a thought provocateur is to heighten the contradictions, so you will learn how to think for yourself, how to navigate these waters on your own. Like Dick Gregory didn't turn down a lot of interviews because he's trying to free your mind. He didn't want you to follow him as an idol or worship him. He was a tool of the universe. Like you tell me, Brother Ron, sometimes when the universe uses you, or the universe soul, God uses you, it leaves no fingerprints. It leaves no evidence. Bobby Dick did a lot of great things in his lifetime that he does not get credit for. That's the example. So all you folks that stuck on, well, Brother Ron, you talk about this, everybody, I'm being used as a tool by the universal God, right? I am being used while the time I'm here. So what I'm telling you all is, to get this information, I'm here to drop the breadcrumbs so it can lead y'all to the right direction where y'all need to go. So you see all the connections? No matter where we go, we're being terrorized by a system, and stop confusing racism with emotions. Racism is a system. All white people are racist. Racism doesn't imply that you are a homicidal maniac. It's just you benefit from a system that favors your group. If you identify with the so-called group in power, you get benefits from said group, then you're part of the group's ideology, whether you like or not. There's some aggressive racists, some passive racists, but you gotta start thinking like that. That all that emotionalism, and you have no allies. To me, the biggest litmus test for an ally, if you're a Caucasian, so-called Caucasian white person, is John Brown. If you're not willing to go to that John Brown level, you can't be a real ally to black people. And it's not me saying that, that's the facts, that's the history. If you're not willing to sacrifice not only your life, but your family existence, you're not really John Brown when it comes to liberating black people. And stop confusing, I'm gonna end it here. I've been on too long, I ain't know it go this long. But so much to talk about. But the Black Lives Matter thing, there's two Black Lives Matter movements. One is organic, the other is corporate, LLC. The three lesbians, Black Lesbians Matter, that's what it should be called, because it's founded by 3 lesbians that don't believe in supporting hetero black males. And this is not me saying it, this is their website. Go to the official Black Lives Matter website and read what they say. They support every type of black person except for a black hetero male. Talking about getting rid of that patriarchy system. They don't support the nuclear black family. And I'm glad that people are waking up and seeing it for will stop being used as a tool for everybody else's agenda, black people. Stop letting these folks exploit our pain for their gain. None of these folks are our friends. Listen, my God, I'm gonna end it on this because I'm going long. Listen to Malcolm X's message to the grassroots from 1963. He did this speech back in November 10th, 1963. It's under an hour long, people. Y'all say y'all love Malcolm, but y'all know nothing about Malcolm. Y'all just know the catchy quotes. He was a good-looking guy, catchy quote, could speak well, made you think a little bit, but you ain't thinking really deep. Listen to the man in his own words, and you know why, you understand why they had to kill him, because what he said about the farce on Washington, because he witnessed the march on Washington. He was a witness. The people that behind, the money people, it's just like today with the Black Lives Matter movement, the corporate one. And like Malcolm said, to paraphrase him, the foxy whites liberal and even the government controls the Negro revolution, but the black revolution is controlled by God. Understand what I'm saying? You see how it works? So, take a look. It's all online. Listen here with your ear, okay? I'm an angry black man. I admit that. But the thing about it, it's not what y'all think is angry. It's more so, it's a righteous indignation of how I have been treated in my lifetime and how my ancestors have been treated in their lifetime and how our future will be treated in their lifetime if we don't change the way we do things and how we think and how we move and how we do stuff. It's imperative for our survival and for the survival of the race that we do these things, because race matters. Racism has nothing to do with your sexuality. So I don't know how all this sexual weirdness is incorporated into black folks' issue with racism. Racism has stuff to do with power, has stuff to do with the color of your so-called skin, your appearance, nothing about your sexuality, okay? So, I'm gonna end this one on this note, but thank you all for listening. If you like the words or from Brother Herb, please spread the word. If you'd like to support the work of the We All Be movement, because we're very transparent, we're grassroots organized, patreon.com/WeAllBe, or PayPal, R2C2H2 @gmail.com, or Venmo @R2C2H2, Cash App, $R2C2H2. Also go by Art of His Art. Look at this Jimmy Lawson for Surf. You want one? Go to Teespring, R2C2H2's place. Look below this. If you're on YouTube, the video description, there's a shelf of some of my Teespring t-shirts. And y'all know how to holler at me. So I'm going to keep on reporting on the front lines. It's your brother Ron. Knowing the words of Duke Ellington, we love you madly. Keep on producing and pushing. One love. Greetings, family. I just want to clarify a couple things in my presentation. I said Robert Charles when I meant to say Robert Church Sr. when I was talking about his contribution, surviving the Memphis Race Massacre, 1866, buying the city charter back to restore Memphis back to its prominence. And also, I said Ivy Wells was the goddaughter to Thomas Mouse's daughter. I meant to say she was the godmother to Thomas Mouse's daughter. Thomas Mouse was her best friend who got killed during the People's Grocery lynchings of March of 1892. I just want to clarify these things because I don't want y'all to get lost in the sauce, because a lot of y'all focus too much on the messenger. And a lot of times we love to catch, people like to catch black men or black people misleading them when they present information. It might be that we made a mistake. A lot of this stuff I did off the top of my head, man. I didn't plan to do that presentation. It was something that moved me in the spirit. So a lot of times I might get my dates or names off and just charge it to my heart and not to my mind. I was not trying to mislead nobody, because I know how y'all go with this stuff. Y'all go a lot of ways to say, oh, this guy, he got a date wrong. He's an agent. I know how y'all think, but it's all love, people. I want to thank the people who have been supporting what I'm doing, because I'm getting energy from you all to keep on keeping on, because I've been burnt out. I've been doing this for a long time. It's like y'all catching up now. So I'm thankful. And the righteous ancestors, they stay on me, man. Y'all don't believe, they do talk to me. They keep me up. I don't really sleep that much, man. But they want me to get this information out, and it's time for us to change the way we think and do and move. So thank you all. God blessings and amplified blessings. And thank you for receiving the message to people out there. I didn't know that people really want to hear from me like this. But it's not me. I'm just a messenger delivering the message from the righteous ancestors and the universe soul God. And we love y'all madly.